Of John Bolton's legal pad saying, quote, 5,000 troops to Colombia. Let's bring in Chief of Staff for the Organization of American States to the United Nations, Gonzalo Koncke, and Fox News contributor, former financial intel analyst Morgan Ortagus. Thank you both for being with us. First of all, Morgan, I know that you had a FaceTime call with the opposition leader. What did you learn from that? What is the sense of how this now plays out?
Well, the interim president Guaido, if you look at the Venezuelan constitution, and this is what Colombia and the United States and many people in the region are arguing, is the legitimate president. We spoke via FaceTime last night with his cousin, who is in New York. There was a group of Venezuelans who cannot go back to the country because of, obviously, the current environment. And what they were focused on is any levers that the United States can continue to push with our allies for support. So he was very supportive. We did not know, of course, that the new sanctions would come down today, but he was very supportive of any measures that would put pressure on Maduro, that would squeeze the money that he, still has access to, which is the money from the Venezuelan people, but that is clearly keeping the military on his side. And, of course, very focused on getting more European support. I mean, that's the one part of the story that I think is pretty tragic. How many people around the world have came to the side of democracy, of freedom. This is not a coup. This is not regime change. This is a democratic process via the Constitution in Venezuela, and the Europeans really need to get on board here.
And I know that's what he is appealing for in a very public way. I want to play a little bit of what the National Security Advisor John Bolton actually said when asked about what the options are today.
Is there any circumstance under which American forces would get involved?
Look, the president has made it very clear on this matter that all options are on the table.
Gonzalo, we showed the notepad he had there, which said 5,000 troops to Colombia. Some people think it was a mistake. Some people think it was a message. What are the odds, you think, that the military gets involved here? And would that be a plus or minus for the Venezuelan people at this point?
Shannon, at the OAS, we work, Secretary General Almagro and member states, for a peaceful transition to democracy in Venezuela. That's the utmost interest, democracy coming back to Venezuela, to have a democratic Venezuela once again. And Juan Guaido, the interim president, is an opportunity for restoring democracy in the country. At the same time, this 5,000 figure that everybody's talking about today, we can never forget that now in Venezuela we have more than 20,000 Cuban agents infiltrated in the country. And Venezuela has become a problem for the security and stability in the region. So rather than focusing on hypothetical aspects, I would remember these 20,000, more than 20,000 Cuban agents in the country. And that is a problem in a regime that is involved with drug dealing, with criminal activities, with terrorist organizations. So Venezuela has really become a problem for the region. Yeah. But of course, in this context, the work at the Organization of American States is towards the peaceful restoration of democracy in the country. A lot of people are suffering there. More than 3 million Venezuelans has had to leave the country because of this dictatorship. So in President Guaido, we have an opportunity to have a democratic Venezuela once again in the region.
Yeah, and I want to put up the map because there are more and more countries who are taking sides, either supporting the contested president now, Maduro, and the opposition leader who has claimed the interim presidency. You can see there on the blue, those are those supporting the opposition leader Guaido, and in red, I mean, there are some pretty significant countries there, including one of our NATO allies, Turkey.
Yeah,
Morgan.
Quote unquote ally.
Yeah, Russia and China, others that we would expect Iran, but Turkey is a problem.
It is, and I think it's important to remember, we get into these big geopolitical discussions, Shannon, about what are the Chinese doing, what are the Americans doing, what are the Russians doing, and I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that people for many years have been starving in the streets there. There's violence, there's lack of basic goods, lack of medicine, lack of health care, and so this is a real human rights tragedy and crisis. I think that we all have to keep that in perspective, and that's why I think it's been such a smart strategy that the National Assembly and that the United States and the allies have pursued, is because there hasn't been some sort of military intervention. This has been going by the letter of the law via the Venezuelan Constitution. I think that that's a really important point here.
And Gonzalo, finally, a word to the people of Venezuela as we watch this play out?
The word to the people of Venezuela is the message that Secretary General Almagro has been conveying, and it is they are not alone. The Organization of American States is working for democracy in the country, but not only the organization, many governments in the region, as you were mentioning. Of course, the U.S. government that has taken very significant steps to help to restore democracy in Venezuela, but also Canada, but also many countries, many in Latin America. More than 20 countries have recognized interim President Guaido as the legitimate president of the country, and he is the legitimate president of the country. So the final word is Venezuelans are not alone, and democracy will come back to the country. And we maybe have never been so close to that situation.
We got to leave it there, but as you say, not just a political issue, a humanitarian crisis at this point as well. Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks.